Hey guys, this is Oshi, and today we're going to test the front-facing camera on my new iPad. So hopefully this is, as good quality as the other side. And today I want to talk about you my first impression of the Mary L. Tarot, the second edition. And I don't know, this is a not necessarily first impression because I knew about a lot. I knew a lot about the deck before I got it. It was a gift, not even meant for me originally, but someone else. But then it got, stuck with me in a way. Because to be honest, if I would have been the one deciding whether to buy the deck or not, I wouldn't have bought it because there are just a lot of cards that are not resonating with me. And funny how life can happen, because if I would have made this video yesterday, I would have just talked about it, that it's like, I don't think I'm gonna keep it because, we're not resonating, and there's just a lot of cards that are not, they are not aligned with the way that I do read tarot, and that would have been, just a few favorite cards, and that's all. But life happened, and it kind of made me think about decks a bit differently, in a good way, so while I still do think that this is a deck that doesn't resonate with me, I kind of changed my mind, and I think it doesn't resonate with me right now. I definitely think that this deck is a teaching deck. It's not something that you just pick up and read with it easily. It's funny how, the decks that I'm getting these days are all kind of the same. The Margaret Peterson deck is kind of like that as well, but for me it's more accessible because of the imagery is more abstract, and I can just go with my feelings, which is kind of a weird thing for me as an airhead, to be honest. But and I'm gonna show you a few cards so you would see. Of course I still have the fours because I'm participating in Chris Elemental Cartomancy's study. I mean, when I can. But there are cards like this. So it's anything but abstract. There's a lot of imagery and symbolism in the cards, and I have a glare. I apologize for that. But it's not my art style, that's for sure. And warning, there's nudity in the deck, and I will show you a bunch of cards that has nudity. And I was wondering why, I was like, because a lot of people are the same when it comes to the nudity part, and some says that, because I've listened to what other people say about it, some said that it was trauma related, that they had an issue with it, or it's just that being that vulnerable, being naked is something that they have a hard time handling. For me, nakedness is not equal to vulnerability. I talked about it in other videos. It's because I was in hospital a lot, where when you're in the ER, you're naked, for easy access to doctors and nurses and whatnot. You're not in your clothing, you're naked. And when doctors came visit, they go through everything. This is how it happens in Hungary. They check things, and you're naked in front of a lot of strangers for not a long time, I'm not saying that, but often. And after a while, the whole I'm ashamed because I'm naked it goes away, honestly. So for me, that's sort of a connection. When I look at a card that has nakedness in it, I don't think about vulnerability. Vulnerability, that's a hard word. Not because it's not there, but just because for me, that the two doesn't equal. So I knew that I'm not because I'm about this sort of nakedness, and I was wondering why. And I think, and that's just my experience is that this sort of nakedness that I will show you, for example, the Fool card, this is the in your face, the redness of the penis. I know it sounds so ridiculous to say that. It reminded me of either porn that I've seen when I was too young to understand what I was seeing. You know, when you're a teenager and you either accidentally see, or you know, your peers are seeing something and you watch it and then you're like, oh, what was that? And it could be related to that diversion or aversion, not diversion, aversion of that image that's like, what is that? I don't even want to see that ever again, because you're too young to even understand. Plus, let's be honest, that's not the most beautiful thing to ever look at. Those who think they need reading, but at the same time, it connects to that animalistic and disgusting part of the human experience. You know, we're just rotting corpses in a way. You know, our body is not perfect. We're not beautiful in a sense that, you know, this is a physical experience, and I think I'm just so not wanting to go there, because I'm like I said, I live here. I live in my thoughts. I'm living my imagination. I live in my head. That's something that brings you back down into that rawness and the disgustingness of a human experience is something that I don't like. That's just what I think. So I think that's why I just don't like the nakedness, because I like my people in the cards being the archetype, the perfect idea of something. And when I look at these, and I know that this is just my opinion. It's not. No, I'm not saying that the cards are not perfect or not representing that ideal for other people. It's just for me, the King of Discs is not how I look at it. This is not a good kind of energy for me. So even though I know that I can learn a lot, and I hope I will be able to learn a lot from this deck, I don't necessarily think that it's gonna stay with me forever. I think this is that type of deck that I will make an effort to learn from and then let it go, because my practice is in a different realm, so to speak. But you know, I can be wrong, because like I said, this is a teacher deck, and the guidebook is very extensive. There's a lot of information in it, so that's one of the reasons why I'm not just gonna look at the cards and be like, okay, I don't care, bye. I wanna study it, I wanna take away as much as I can, and then I will go back and decide if it's important to hold on to this deck or pass it on to someone who will be able to learn from it, because you know, this was a gift, so I'm not gonna sell it. I'm just gonna find someone that I can gift it on later on. But that doesn't mean, you know, I've showed you a few already, but I'm gonna show you a few cards that you know, like Ten of Cups is not, so that you will understand why I don't read the Ten of Cups like this. But I don't even necessarily understand what the Ten of Cups is in this card right now. You know, like I said, it's not something that you can just flip through and decide that I resonate with it, I want it. No, this is, if I'm correct, it's the thought, it's RWS, and even Marseille, maybe, you know, all the system combined. There's a lot of knowledge that went into this deck. I do respect that. And the artist, I mean, Muriel is just, you know, a brilliant artist. It's just not my thing, because for example, the Five of Swords, currently I read the Five of Swords as the selfish energy. When you know you shouldn't do something because you know that you're taking away from someone else, even, you know, not necessarily a physical thing, but an opportunity maybe, but you're greedy a little, and you know, you don't mean bad, or you know, you don't want to hurt other people, but you're just like, oh, but I want it, you know, you're that sort of a selfishness, and which sometimes translates in reading to a need to be selfish, because a lot of people have a tendency to not value their own time or energy. But when I look at this, I'm just like, I don't know, because there's a baby, and who's the selfish one? The baby, and there's all owls, you know. So I think this reads completely differently how I read, which is completely fine. So I will see if I can take away something, or and you know, build it into my practice, but that might not happen. So plus the tactile feeling, I don't like. This is a very slippery cardstock. These are the backs, by the way. It's silver edge, which usually bothers me because it cuts into. Okay, why am I only showing you the few cards? You know, silver. It's a very good quality edging. I don't even. It feels more like a spray-on edging, and not that type of edging that cuts into your hand, which I hate and I always remove. But yeah, like the word, it is an interesting idea for it, but I don't know about that. Or you know, the aces. The aces are. I know that these are. I think these are some archangels or something like that. But when I look at the Ace of Pentacles, that's just not me. I just don't see that opportunity. But you know, and Seven of Cups. I know that it ties into the Chariot, but I don't get Seven of Cups from this one. And I know a lot of people love these decks. The reason why I wanted it, because I know how many people love and use this deck. And you know, when you hear about a deck often, like the Wild Unknown, which I will not get because I don't get anything out of the artwork or the guidebook because I checked, but it's still, you know, it still comes back and I'm like, should I get it because a lot of people love it and use it? Like, am I missing out? And this was the same with this deck. But now, you know, having it in my hand and studying it at least a little, I'm not sure. And I know I'm not really making any sense, but you know, that's me at first impressions. But favorite cards, two of discs, and I checked the guidebook and it has nothing to do with paying the fare when you're crossing the underworld, because that was the first thing that I looked at it and I was like, oh, it's quite an interesting image, and then turns out it has nothing to do with that, which makes sense because how the Two of Pentacles tie into paying your fare to crossing into the underworld, it wouldn't. But still, that was the card that I always saw in walkthroughs, and I was like, oh, I want that. But you know, that's just one card. But I really like the Three of Discs, the Three of Pentacles. I think I love teamwork as being parents and the baby, you know, because babies teach parents a lot of lessons, and you know, the parents learn from each other while being a parent. And I know that we're not all parents, and we won't be, but you know, and you might don't even have parents, but you can imagine that this is a good example, and for me it is. That is the one that I like and appreciate for the expression on the face. Those are, you know, that's not something that I can really concretely express why, but that it has a calm inevitability, I guess, when you reach that point that you know that is closer than life was. And some people find peace in that, and I hope that I will be like that, you know, as well. But who knows? And the star, which I remember that Chris said, and I kind of forgot, that this was meant to be maybe the Hierophant. I don't know. Because, you know, there are heads. I don't know how much you can see because I know that it's kind of dark, but we have a rainy morning. But I still love that. I mean, it kind of gives me, especially with the hands, some Jesus-y vibes, and Jesus represented hope for a lot of people. Sorry. So that's an interesting one. But yeah, I don't necessarily know what I think and feel about this deck right now. It's easy to shuffle, blah 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 blah, even though it's slivery, and it has a bow or a bend in it already, which is something that I don't like. But I don't know if you can see. Maybe you can. No, I can. I mean, look at that Nine of Cups. That's interesting, Nine of Cups. So yeah, I think this is a teacher deck. I think I'm going to hold on to it at least. I will make an effort to, you know, learn from it, but I absolutely have no idea if this deck stays in my collection. Maybe if I start working with it, I will. I kind of don't think so. I'm still on the don't think so more, because I just know my stuff. I know what kind of decks I like, and I don't need a very complicated deck for a very complicated reading, because I like simple, clear messages, and because, you know, that's usually when I read for myself, that's what I can handle. But and because I kind of get a feeling that, you know, if I pull cards from this deck, it's not gonna be a 5-minute reading or and even a half an hour reading. It's gonna be like days or weeks, and I don't know if I will ever read like that, because how I do read is more about I'm getting the initial message and then I sit with it, and that if I have a lot that I get initially, a lot will go away, slip up, and I'm bad at journaling. I'm bad at keeping track. I'm more about give me something that I can just mull over thing. But like I said, I have no idea. So this is an actual, I have no idea what my first impression is of this deck, because it's hard to distinguish between you just want to read with the deck because you know how well it works for other people, and I kind of get that with the Llewellyn as well. I got that deck when I was like, oh, I really want to get down in the Celtic mythology road, and I thought that that was the way that I want to read, because I felt that I will have a connection with that mythology, and it didn't happen in a way that I was hoping. I'm still looking for that, I don't even know, mythology or just area of spirituality that I will feel home in a way that I will have a deck that will have layered meanings, if that makes any sense to people. And I started thinking about this because of someone mentioned, and I watched the Say Yes to the Deck with Lisa Papez, and someone were talking about Egyptian mythology, and you know how they always felt drawn to it, and how they just found a deck that's connecting to that, and it will give them an extra motivation and extra layer to the readings, because they know a lot about that mythology. And I started to think that I don't have anything like that, which kind of sucks. I wish I had, but I always, of course, I liked you know, Egypt. I liked the mythology. I liked when I learned about the Greek mythology. I liked that, but I never stayed with it. And the only thing that I always felt drawn to is the it's the fantasy world and sci-fi, but not even sci-fi as much as the fantasy aspect. And you know, I don't know, like Middle Earth, or I don't know, like what example should I give you? Lord of the Rings, like I said, Discworld and stuff like that, you know, where there are endless possibilities with different creatures who exist better most of the time than we do, and stuff like that. So I don't know if I will ever have something that connects back to human, human experience in a way. And I know that I'm just rambling and we're not even talking about the deck anymore, but you know, I do feel that this deck, which I keep in my masculinity bag, because I don't have the box, it ties back into the mythology of humans, and I'm not sure I connect with that. If even though I know how ridiculous it sounds because I'm a human. But yeah, I hope this makes any sense, but we will see how I get along with the deck. I am in a very philosophical mood this morning, I know, but I really am. These are just, you know, conversations that I usually have in my head all the time, so welcome to my head. But yeah, if you have a deck, you know, that connects you to the fantasy aspect of existence, please do share, because I want to have those decks. I think the Lost Forest is one of those, but that's out of stock for a long while. So yeah, I don't know if I will be able to find one that just connects me to that space that I really want to. Yeah, I will stop. Thanks for being here. Please like, subscribe, comment down below what you think about this deck or anything that I said. And thank you so much. Have a lovely day, morning, whatever, when you're watching this. Bye.